I mean, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you after so many years of, back and forth and essentially seeing you in the market making tremendous strides. And one of the reasons, I mean, for myself, 18 years as a broadcaster, right? You're always thinking, how do you evolve? How do you change the game? And digital changed the game. It forced you to really evolve. So when you view sports content, essentially in the digital era, what has evolved the most? What is the feedback that we've gotten into what people like to consume in the country when it comes to sport?
Thank you, Mayanti. Thanks for having me here. Sports is an interesting subject in India because while we see lots and lots of passion, and as you well know, the consumption of sports in India still is fairly under-indexed if you were to compare it with any of the other countries nearby. So I think at last count, it's less than 3% of the consumption of media in India happens to be sport. In most other countries, it's between 10 and 15%. So there's a significant opportunity that we thought exists. And our view, and I still strongly believe in it, is that there was only that much that linear television could actually do to bridge the gap. And very simplistically, reasons being that, not everybody can have a television or can have a cable and satellite connection. You can't be in front of the television all the time. So there are times that you're sort of traveling or, getting out of office, getting back home, and that's a perfect way to grow consumption. And given the opportunity and scale that we saw and the ability to sort of deliver very targeted solutions for advertisers, we felt that digital is the way to make this difference.
And it's incredible with the ease of accessibility, actually, if you could say that, has what has ultimately been a game changer. And it's so interesting, with people like yourself and your network to see it continue to evolve. So therein lessons, I mean, what is essentially the model that works or resonates with an Indian audience?
Yeah, I'm sure there are multiple views in it. I'll tell you what our view is. Our view is that, look, unrestricted accessibility and availability and affordability can make this big jump. You spoke about, what can change the game. And in my opinion, it's about accessibility, availability, and affordability. What I mean by that is, we've gone what is typically called the AWOD model, which is, free for consumers. Anybody who wants access to it just switches on and can watch, an IPL game. And admittedly, we are not the first to do it. There are enough and more models where people have done, free streaming. But what's made the difference is that because of the degree of availability of telecom infrastructure means that it's now a fairly seamless experience. You can be anywhere in the world and, any road, and you can basically have your mobile on and it'll deliver content to you. And that, along with the inherent ability of digital, which is to be able to target very, very specific cohorts, and it can customize to any degree, meant that there is a business model that is possible to build on AWOD. SWOD, or subscription-based services, and again, this is my point of view, curtail the availability significantly. And, in some ways, it stops sport from growing. And it's also not possible to build successful business models on SWOD. This is our opinion.
It's, if you're watching, for example, on the television, you're trying to switch between channels. Here, I realize you can have the access of having two different devices streaming different things. And that's really interesting because when you talk about something that you made free to access, which is anyway a prime property, and we're just on the verge of what would be second for you in terms of digital, that 18-month journey, that 1.5 years from literally being a startup, having this ideation, to getting those incredible numbers, can you conceptualize, can you summarize that journey for us?
Yeah, I think, it's, it was great, and the outcome looks great, but would I like to live that again? Not necessarily.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part is, and you know this, right? Indian fans are deeply passionate, so for them to say, look, the app didn't open, or my languages have got mixed, and generally in life, for relatively minor things, people would sort of forgive you, but here people don't really forgive you. They really take after you on social media, whatever. And the good thing is it forced us to be on our toes. The first event we put out at scale was the FIFA World Cup. It had not been done at that scale. We had over 110 million people tuning in. So for the final alone, so it was actually quite a big achievement. But when these things start, the first day, first game, there were hiccups, and that was quite a big learning for us. The good thing is we learned from that, and by the time IPL ended, I think we had a very, very stable service. We hit about just short of 450 million, 449 million people tuning into JioCinema. So yeah, it was quite hectic. Most of the year and a half that you talk about was just, it passed by so quickly, it's really difficult to think about things. But the great thing was we built a great team of people who were all committed to delivering that experience. And also the technology that we did, because you have to keep adapting in this world of sports streaming. So both those things I would certainly like to call out.
So why, in a sense, the really big push for digital when it comes to a premier, I guess, event like IPL, knowing that there could be these sort of issues? Was it because you could access different regions, you had regionals? Was there things that you could do differently in terms of being more interactive with the audience? I mean, what went differently when you went for IPL and said, let's make it digital?
Actually, the key thing there was, I think, our ability to play across the spectrum of consumers. What I mean by that is, at the top end, we know that connected TVs are growing in a big way. In fact, I read some report which suggested that in the last 16 quarters, less than 1% of the TVs that have been sold are not connected TV. So that means 99% of the TVs sold in the last 4 years are all connected TV enabled or internet TV enabled. And that makes a massive difference at the top end. At the bottom end, you know that lots of people don't have access to watching content on television. And we wanted to have a platform where we can play across the entire spectrum. And that's the reason we felt digital was the way to go. The other side of the story, beyond viewers, is actually around the advertisers. Because, just to give you a sense, last year we had, about 800 advertisers on IPL. And, it's a long tournament, but it's very short games. To get 800 advertisers was quite revealing. And, I've been on the other side selling the other medium. And it's very difficult to get more than 100. It's purely because of the nature of the breaks and things like that. Now, why that is possible is because you can basically create multiple unique cohorts, each of which might be attractive to a certain audience. And for instance, there could be a brand that's very keen to target rural West Bengal, and there could be another brand that is very keen to target the south of Bombay. And the ability to deliver content and advertising to both of them at the same time actually makes a massive difference. And that's where the digital model gets built. That's where the technology works, and that's how it sort of comes together as a model. So you can drive viewership, and the reality is that mobile penetration, digital penetration is growing, and it's growing quite fast. So I'm possibly going to just summarize this to say, look, three things. One is that it's a growing market, so it's really, really attractive, whether it's on the mobile side or the connected TV side. Second is great ability to provide viewers with what they want to watch. And you can basically do. Last year we did 17 feeds, including Bhojpuri and Punjabi. I hope you caught a bit of it. I know you were busy otherwise, but we certainly had some unique feeds which went done. And the ability on the other side to monetize all these eyeballs with the advertisers. So that, I think, was the reason. This is what we set out to do. And I think to a great degree that worked. And that's what we want to focus on.
But I mean, you summarize, I actually want you to expand a little bit, because one would assume that there would be challenges when you're going out to advertisers with digital platforms, because you're used to doing things a certain way. We all know cricket, in a way, almost sells itself. But how do you sell the idea of digital? So what attracted advertisers the most, that you managed to get so many different on board? Was it just the various degrees or the little, roles that they were able to find within themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, we all, certainly all the people who are in this room, understand that the digital advertising business is amongst the fastest growing, and currently I think is larger than TV and print. If you read across various reports, that's what seems to come through. But the way the growth has happened has been that from a marketing sense, it's actually worked on the bottom of the funnel. So basically there are two divisions. One is television has worked at the top of the funnel, saying, look, let's build awareness, let's build recognition and stuff like that. And the conversion seems to have happened at the bottom of the funnel. Television, by its inherent nature, couldn't go down, and digital, because performance marketing seemed to work well, was not able to go higher up. Here we saw a unique opportunity for us to play across the funnel and make digital mainstream. So here was an opportunity to make branding, so building awareness, building comprehension, building interest, desire, etc., at the top of the funnel possible. And the real advantage was the ability to go to multiple people and provide them an option to say, look, you can advertise, and there is no restriction on budgets, right? So one of the things about other media is that you have to put a minimum of 20 crores, I'm just giving you an IPL number, to make any sort of impact, right? Because there's only that much, you have to have a certain share of voice. Here the advantage is, if I define my audience and say, look, I want to reach 10 million people, the math is very, very clear to say that, look, I will pay only for those 10 million people. If it goes to the 10 plus, 1 million additional, you don't have to pay. So you pay only for the audiences that you've bought. Secondly, there is great accuracy in measurement, because all advertisers put trackers in. And these trackers tell you how many impressions have been served. So it's not like, an extrapolation based on 30,000 homes to say, that represents the entire country. This is actual impressions delivered. And that, again, made a difference. So it was a concerted effort to tell people that, look, this is different. As you rightly said, you don't really have to go to market to say, please advertise on cricket, right? You and I have both been in this business for long, to say cricket has a natural place where advertisers flock to. But the challenge that we had was to tell people about the benefits of it in such a way that you can deliver scale. That's what we try to do.
And of course, keeping up with the time. So he mentioned connected TVs. How many of us have those smart connected TVs? Just raise your hand in the audience. I see all hands. So I think that's virtually everyone. So that's us. We're sitting here right now in Mumbai. It's a prime city. It's a maximum city. But actually, the research that you have done in terms of people that are buying or have access to these sort of devices, what does that tell you about what part of India is actually consuming it through connected TVs, through their mobile phones, and therefore consuming digital?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've, at least when we started FIFA, our view was that connected TV is really this top sliver. It's possibly equivalent to the high definition sort of market. But what we've discovered, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but what it seems to suggest is that there are going to be about 60 million homes who are accessing connected television. I think by the end of March, that is what is projected. Now, 60 million homes is quite a big number, considering that the total paid TV universe is about 95 million. So this is now a lot more mainstream. And this will move even faster in times to come, because it's becoming easier and easier with various OEMs, right? Whether it's a Samsung, LG, every one of them is actually trying to drive this agenda. Google's done a fantastic job around it. So I think it's just a matter of time before a lot of that moves to connected TV. The ability to do a lot more makes a difference. And of course, because it's addressable, it's targetable, the digital proposition on connected TV becomes that much stronger.
Connected TV is also, though, a little bit reliant on network providers. Do you see that sometimes as a bit of a, I wouldn't say challenge exactly, but do you see a difference in results?
Not really. I mean, look, network reliability in India, and I won't just speak about our parent company, Jio, but Airtel, Vodafone, everybody has invested significantly in improving the network infrastructure over the past few years. And today it is extremely reliable. You rarely hear, that the fiber is down, etc. It's a rarity. It's like my cables got cut, or there's a sunstorm and hence my DTH TV is not working, or rains.
Sunstorm, yeah, I remember.
You remember the sunstorms. So rain and hence.
We're just giving away our age when we talk about these things anyway.
So I think it's extremely reliable. And the great thing is that because of the measurement mechanism, if certain content or certain ads are not delivered, we get to know that in real time. We know that, okay, there has been a problem here because you see that the trackers are not fired. And that makes a massive difference to how we approach the market.
So I saw recently a few of your interviews as we were getting into this, and someone had asked you about, this incredible test series that is going on right now, which has really been absolutely fascinating to watch. We just had this off-air discussion of how great the numbers have been. Now, that's test cricket, which people view compared to T20 cricket to essentially not have the greatest numbers. But here's a platform when you talk about other sports and the reach of these other sports. Now, how do you captivate or engage your audience when it comes to these leagues that we have been streaming live, that too?
Yeah, I think, again, what happens between why does digital provide an optimum solution there is it's possible for just people in this room to be interested in a particular sport, right? So if everybody here is interested in chess, it's possible for us to create a stream that just serves these people. You can't do it on broadcast. And hence, at the same time that people here are watching chess, there could be people in the other room who are watching handball. And this has now been recognized by most of the leagues, and I won't call them minor, I'll call them niche because they're very, very passionate supporters of that. So what seems to now happen is a lot of people come to us and say, look, would it be possible for your platform to show our content? Because, we know that a set of people who are keen on this sport are on your platform. And you're right, you have IPL, which sort of will this year hit, 650 million people. And that's huge, right? And that's really, really mass. But even in that, there could be cohorts of people who are, for instance, it could be around a particular language, or it could be around a particular feed to say, okay, look, I'm keen to see something like a lifestyles feed. It won't appeal to everybody, but it'll appeal to that small set of people who will be very, very passionate about it. And that's what digital does. You can actually slice and dice it into so many different buckets of viewers and deliver a seamless experience. And this also works for advertisers because somebody who's coming in there doesn't want to reach all the other people. They want to reach this set of people, and that's where it makes a difference.
So you spoke about passion for sports, and so the follow-up question to that is, do you feel these sort of customizations that digital does allow you, is it actually help develop and promote those certain niche sports that essentially could use a little more recognition?
Yeah, I think for sure digital does that. What it does is it tells us, and obviously not at a one-to-one basis, but we know there are a set of people who are really passionate. And let's forget everything else. Even on IPL cricket, people watch with different intensities. There are some people who want to be really on the inside. They want to watch every ball. They want to know what is the thinking. So we've created something called the Insiders feed, where you have everybody who's played recently come on, right? Like a Suresh Raina or a Chris Gale or an A.B. de Villiers. People who've been in the game till now, so they can give an insight which is quite different from a more generic feed. And our ability to identify that and hence provide a visual and an audio experience for them which is quite unique makes a difference, for sure.
So just in a sense, going forward now, from these learnings, sports in the digital age, sports in India, let's make it that, because we understand our own customization and what works. Sports in India in the digital age, what would you like to see? What do you imagine the future to be?
I think actually the big thing I would like to see is, while we will hit 650 million people through conventional sort of means, there is still a set of people who live in media dark areas, right? So there are people who have no access to TV and are not able to afford smartphones because it's expensive to stream content. Now the great thing is a number of manufacturers, including Jio, are launching phones which actually target media dark areas. So there is this Jio Bharat phone, which is, I think, less than 1,000 rupees. And that will provide 4G streaming on screens. And this actually goes to absolutely media dark homes. And I think that will create the next revolution. Look, it's fascinating to see what's happened to the Indian cricket team in terms of how people from across the country are now coming in and playing in for the country. You see various examples of them. What I mean by that is people who are coming from beyond the conventional cricket centers. What I think will happen as a result of Jio Bharat, etc., is that it will actually take it one level lower, and it'll help us access a talent pool that hitherto was not able to watch. And it's fascinating, and I'll just go back to our conversation offline. You talked about your son, just watching cricket on a screen and being able to pick up so much, and actually, hopefully he represents
Try and execute.
Hopefully he represents India at some point in time. So people's ability to pick up watching screens by watching sport on screens is actually great, and that's where I think there would be a revolution. Needless to say, there is also a lot of interest for advertisers who otherwise you can't reach these homes. This is beyond the free-to-air households, so these are people who really have no access to media. This suddenly opens up a whole new vista. And hopefully this creates a virtuous cycle where advertisers put money in, our platform works for them with a very specific offer, people watch it, they go on to play, and hence they watch more. And that's hopefully what happens.
When you're in this industry and we're talking about, we always get that feedback. What is the demographic that you're catering to? And it's always broken up into, the teens, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Do you feel that with digital, you're actually able to get demographics together, or will you still be looking to customize? I mean, what's the formula really there when you're targeting particular demographics?
I think...
the only reason I asked this, sorry to cut you, is because all kids have phones now. And it wasn't the case when we were growing up, so they have access to digital and live streaming.
No, it's a great question, Mayanti. I think demographics is the more obvious one, and that's how, all of us have learned how to segment markets, etc. But the great thing about digital is that you can also do other cuts. You can do psychographics, likes, dislikes, intent, etc. So that brings in a whole new dimension. What I mean by that is, typically you'd say, look, for lack of a better word, kids under 21, we'll have a feed, the sort of middle-aged people, and then the old people we can have. Or you can basically split it by men and women. But what if you were able to cut it by, these are people who are passionate for any Chennai Super Kings fans in the room? Okay. So suppose I was to able to create a very specific curated feed for the Chennai Super Kings fan, provided I can identify, saying that, look, this is the set of fans who are really passionate. And this is not, this is not rocket science. It's possible to do it on digital, where if you and your friend were sitting side by side and you were watching a stream, if I know that you're a Chennai Super Kings supporter, probably I would have a lot more of MS Dhoni and MS Dhoni quotes and stuff like that. which can make a difference. Whereas your friend sitting, beside you could be a RCB fan, and there could be lots more of Virat Kohli and others there. And I'm sort of just picking the local heroes, no particular likes for them, but I'm just giving an example. And so I think even more than demographics, and now if you go one level below, if I know that there is a certain gentleman who is in the market to buy cars, and there is technology which can help us understand who's there. That becomes really interesting for an advertiser to say, okay, look, this gentleman is in the market for cars, not as an individual, but as a cohort. And you can then serve them those ads. So the ability to segment and deliver not only content which is very, very contemporary and desired, but also advertising actually will make a massive difference.
On a digital platform, is it easier to be more interactive with your audience then and there, get instant results? Because we're on our phones, social media, that sort of access.
Yeah, for sure. One of the great things about digital is, of course, interactivity. The small experiments we have done, I won't call it small anymore because I saw some numbers yesterday, and 37 million people actually played out. So we've got this interactive question quiz, for lack of a better word, called Jito Dhandanadan. So what happens is, as a game is happening, it's a basic prediction game that says, okay, on the next ball, is there going to be a boundary or not? And if you answer a question correctly, you get some coupons and stuff like that, and then there are grand prizes like a car and a motorcycle, etc. Based
Why am I not playing these games? Why didn't you tell me that?
You should. But two things. One is that the interactivity that we've seen has grown dramatically. And, even if I say so, sports is the last bastion for interactivity. And the reason I say it is that people don't want to do anything on their screens while they're watching. In fact, people are extraordinarily superstitious, right? I mean, you sit in a place, you don't want to move, etc. So for people
not so much the new generation. That's why I'm asking this
correct.
question.
So it's not only the new generation, actually.
The younger generation is not as superstitious.
Yeah. So it's not just about them, but also if you see, so we've got these winners coming from really small towns like Kishanganj and Agartala. So what it seems to suggest is that interactivity is really very, very interesting. And, there are other people who've done interactive stuff with much larger numbers than what we have. But at least on cricket, what we're now seeing is that there is a great degree of interest to do this. Of course, this is not the definition of interactivity, but I'm just giving you an example to say how we believe this can be a much bigger platform.
So, that will lead me to the next question. You don't have to give all your plans away, but obviously big cricket season just around the corner. What are you most looking forward to? What are you hoping to achieve in the coming months?
So before I answer that, Mayanti, we are already in the midst of it. WPL, very, very passionate. It's already cricket season for us. Yes, I know that you mentioned.
And the test series, so I know we're a hardcore cricket season going on.
But even before the test, I would put WPL really, really heartening to see how well it's done. And just for context, WPL is much bigger than the India-England test series for us now. So, the TV ratings, etc., will come in a week, but what we're seeing on digital, it's incredible. So that's been really, really something that we're very happy about. As far as IPL goes, our intent this time is to continue to build on a couple of things. One is our cohorts will increase. We'll certainly be putting a couple of new languages. And these languages are based upon our deep understanding of what India wants to watch. And even if it's a small cohort, we want to deliver that. The second thing we're doing is to deliver superb solutions for advertisers. So we are, last year I said we had 800 plus. I'm hoping that this year we hit about 4,000 advertisers. That is game changing because, that's about, going to be at least 40x of what any other medium can hit. We're also putting in various units which help advertisers deliver to their audiences and hence their results. We are going to enhance what I call the camera experiences, but this is primarily around something of a hero cam. So what we're going to let audiences do is to make a choice on saying, okay, this is the hero that I want to see on screen along with the game. So if I have chosen Rohit Sharma, I can see Rohit Sharma or a Hardik Pandya, whomsoever I've chosen, at the same time as the games. What that does is I can actually see the expressions and whatever is being said by my hero at the same time that the game was on. So some of these are interesting innovations. We'll see how it works, and this is quite seamless to do. Our connected TV is a completely revamped experience this year, and obviously because the scale is going to be double of last year. And that, again, is something that we focused on to ensure that things like 4K, which are differential, will be exciting for people. And of course, access to lots of teams. We have partnerships with, I think, 5 of the IPL teams, 5 of the IPL teams. And access to that content uniquely will make a difference.
It'll certainly be very exciting. Just as we look to wrap up, because we're in red, I mean, it's brave. We spoke about that 18-month journey. Some moments you don't want to remember. I'm sure some you do. Because for those of us who are looking to be brave in this digital era when it comes to sports and how sports has evolved, what are some of the lessons, Anil, that we can take away and look to grow from?
I think, and it's always much easier to do this in hindsight, to say, look, ambition is really important. Not to be overawed by what you're seeing presently, but seeing what is the art of possible, I would say, is the second one. Third is people. You must have absolutely the best people who, and I did speak to you about this, one of the key differentiators, at least in my business that I look at, is people who are passionate about sports. Because you can teach everything else, you can't teach passion. So those are 3 things that are really important in order to deliver what you're setting out to do. And most important part is, don't forget your 2 most important stakeholders. One is your viewer, give them a delightful experience, and the advertiser. Certainly have your offer for advertisers very clear and distinct and different from others.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anil Jayaraj speaking at the India Digital Summit. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Congratulations for what has been an extraordinary 2-3 years, and all the best for the coming months. Can't wait to see what you have in store for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayanti. Thank you all.
Thank you.